Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to another edition of Fan Talk, back to your regular scheduled broadcast. That's right. We are back in the studio for another episode of Fan Talk, your favorite podcast by your favorite fan. That is me, of course, Kyle Brenchley, otherwise known as K Brench, in the house on this Wednesday. It is now October. As you may or may not know, last week I did not do a normal episode. I did a little vlog highlighting me running the St. George half marathon. That's right, I ran a half marathon down in St. George. I made a vlog, so go check that video out. That replaced last week's episode. But I am back this week, bigger, better, stronger than ever, with a lot to talk about and a lot to catch up here in this October month. It is my favorite time of the year. We got the Rogue One poster. We have my leaves candle, and I also have bourbon pumpkin right over here. So 2 candles at once. You know, things are getting real when 2 candles come out. And it's Wednesday, so happy hump day, everyone. Fan Talks podcast that you can find YouTube, Spotify, anywhere you get your podcast. You guys know the drill. I appreciate your support. Please like, share, comment, and tell your friends that you are friends with a podcaster, aka me, Kyle Brenchley. All right, guys, let's jump into the Fan Talk Fast Talk. 3 quick stories to start off this podcast. A lot has happened since I have last got on, so let's waste no time. Hockey season is here. I am wearing my Vancouver Canucks hat. They are the team I support, but I am from Utah, and I would be insane not to support the new hockey team that is here in Utah. The Utah Hockey Club played their first ever inaugural game last night against the Chicago Blackhawks on national television, and they got the win 5-2. I was not there in attendance, but I did see highlights. I did see a news report. I work in news, so I saw the news report the next morning. It looked like it was packed. It looked like it was a party, and it looked like it was a good time. So excited to see the Utah Hockey Club play more games in the future. Hopefully I can catch the game when the Canucks come to town. It'll be real fun there. Robert Saleh, coach of the New York Jets, is out. He has been fired after, this is his, he coached 56 games with the Jets. He finished with a 20-36 record, no playoff appearances. 2-3, obviously, this year. The news came after the Jets lost a tough one in London against the Minnesota Vikings. The Jets did not play particularly well. Aaron Rodgers didn't look that great. Defense kind of struggled. It's the same old. Offensive line didn't do well. And the problem is, and I've mentioned this before, the NFL is just not patient. It's just not patient. So they gave Robert Saleh plenty of time. He probably wasn't the greatest coach out there, but unfortunately, and I think maybe a little prematurely and a little out of the blue, it seems, as you read reports, that the entire locker room, the entire coaching staff was kind of taken by surprise that they kicked Robert Saleh out. So a little unfortunate there. Jets fans will have to continue with their roller coaster of emotions, but the defensive coordinator, Jeff Ulbrich, takes over as interim head coach. And they'll face off against the Buffalo Bills next. And the MLB postseason has been insane. How about them Tigers? The Tigers won today against the Cleveland Guardians and are up 2-1 in their division series. The Phillies and the Mets are playing as we speak right now. Mets have an opportunity to take the lead in that series. And then the Yankees, Royals playing later tonight. And then Padres, Dodgers as well. I'm rooting for a Tigers-Padres World Series. Now, wouldn't that be something else? Tigers have not been to the postseason in 10 years, and the Padres have never won a World Series. So that would be really cool for them to clash. Those are the 2 teams I'm rooting for at this point. All right, that was your Fan Talk, Fast Talk. Let's jump into football now. We are well into October. Football is in full swing. We're entering week 6 in the NFL, week 7 of college football. Let's check in here with college football. Let's look at the rankings. There were some really good games this last weekend. If you didn't catch any games and you missed out, there was huge upsets. Alabama, of course, went down to number one Alabama went down to Vanderbilt. That was insane. Tennessee lost. USC lost. Crazy games. Absolutely crazy. Let's see if we can find the rankings. Here we go. So a lot of shakeup. Texas retakes the number 1 seed. Ohio State's now 2. Oregon 3. Penn State's up to 4 now. Georgia 5. Miami had that crazy comeback against California to remain undefeated, so they're at 6. Alabama dropped to 7. Tennessee dropped to 8. Ole Miss is at 9, and now Clemson has cracked the top 10 at number 10. Your Utah teams, BYU is 14. Utah is 16. So they didn't play last week. They had a bye week, but they moved up. So pretty cool stuff. Let's look at some games that you should be watching this weekend. There was some insane games last weekend that kind of took people by surprise, some upsets. This weekend, there will be some good ranked matchups. Of course, there'll be those games that will surprise you, but some good ranked matchups that should entertain you. Starting off with our hometown teams here in Utah. The Utes are playing the Arizona State Sun Devils down in Tempe. Both teams are 4-1. Utah is ranked 16. Cam Rising is still questionable. And what that means is that he won't play, but they won't say it until about 2 hours or less before the game. So could be interesting there. That's a night game on Friday. Could be a game that Utah drops, honestly. Arizona State's a little better this year than they've been in years past. And playing down there in Arizona is never an easy feat. Utah State got their homecoming game against UNLV. Utah State having a rough year, but maybe they'll have some homecoming magic. And then, of course, BYU is at home. They're hosting the Arizona Wildcats. This game will be on Fox. It will be called by Gus Johnson and Joel Klatt. They will have Big Noon Saturday there, so big news for all your BYU Cougar fans down there. LaVell Edwards Stadium, it will be packed. Utes, of course, are ranked 14, are undefeated, hosting an Arizona Wildcats team. Some other games that you should be watching this weekend. This one is very home and dear to me, but it is probably one of the biggest games of the year, potentially. It is the Red River rivalry. Yes, that is right. It is that week, or it is that rivalry week. Texas versus Oklahoma. Texas, of course, the number 1 seed. Oklahoma currently ranked as 18. Texas is a huge favorite to win this game, a 14-point favorite. That game will be on ABC. All I got to say is horns down. Don't count out Michael Hawkins Jr. Hopefully it's a good game. This is the first Red River rivalry as both teams are now in the SEC. So check out that game, and it should be fun. There's some good games throughout the day that you can kind of tune in, catch, but it's not until nighttime that the big lights really shine bright. Ohio State visiting Oregon, 2 versus 3, NBC primetime. Dylan Gabriel, quarterback for the Oregon Ducks. Will Howard, quarterback for the Ohio State Buckeyes. They'll face off in Eugene, Oregon. Big Ten, this is a Big Ten matchup now that Oregon has come over. Should be lights out. I think I'm kind of liking Ohio State in this one. I think they're the better team. Oregon's kind of struggled against some bottom feeder teams. And the other game simultaneously played at the same time. Ole Miss and LSU, 5:30. Ole Miss ranked 9, LSU ranked 13. Should be fun. So a little SEC Big Ten for your Saturday night. All right, guys, let's jump over to the NFL. There were some crazy games in the NFL this past week, too. I think every week there's some good games. There's always some upsets. There's always some surprise wins. Of course, the Arizona Cardinals, the New York Giants, both surprise wins last week. If we are to come over here and look at my Pigskin Pick'em rankings, if you remember, I am doing this through ESPN. If you want to join, it's still not too late. As you can see, there's a few entries down here that are a little behind, but regardless, it's just for fun. I am currently in first place. Surprise, surprise. I have, let's look, an 8-point lead, or 80-point lead in points, 8-point win percentage lead right there. So try to beat me. I'm really good at this. I'm doing really good. So let's make our picks for week 6 in the NFL. Thursday night football is a fun matchup. The San Francisco 49ers and the Seattle Seahawks, of course, NFC West rivals. Both teams coming off tough losses, respectively. The Niners lost to the Cardinals and the Seahawks to the Giants, as I mentioned earlier. It's a short week for both teams. Both teams need a win desperately. The 49ers, if they go 2-4, that's trouble. Seahawks still trying to, keep pace with them. They currently have the better record at 3-2, but I do like the 49ers to bounce back in this game. Both teams coming off a short week, like I mentioned before. And if I were to put a trust in a team to bounce back, it would be the 49ers. They're just a more complete team. Seahawks have a good offense, but I think their defense is just not quite there, maybe not quite as rested. Give me the 49ers for that game. Another game in London, the Jaguars, they love going over there. They always go and play in London every single year. They're playing off against the Bears. Jags got their first win, which is good because they'd be 0-5 going into this game and probably go 0-6. I'm leaning towards the Bears right now, so I'm going to pick the Chicago Bears to win this one. Caleb Williams is doing a lot better than I thought. I thought he was going to be a disaster in the NFL. He still makes a lot of silly mistakes. He's a rookie quarterback. He still has a lot to learn, but he has exceeded my expectations so far. The whole Bears team has. They are 3-2 and will be 4-2 after a trip to London. Give me the Bears. Cardinals and Packers, both coming off big wins on the road. Of course, the Cardinals beating the 49ers, Packers taking down the Rams. I do like the Packers in this one. I think it will be a tough, gritty fight. This has actually been a huge rivalry for years and years and years, back when the Cardinals were in St. Louis, and the Packers, of course, one of the original teams. They played each other a lot back in the day, and they've had some great matchups over the years. I like the Cardinals. I'll be rooting for the Cardinals, but I think the Green Bay Packers will win this one. So I will pick the Packers at Lambeau Field. Cheeseheads, go big, great. Colts and Titans. I'm taking the Colts in this one. I think the Titans, while they have a good defense, won't really get anywhere with Will Levis at quarterback. Give me the Colts. Texans at Patriots. Big news, or somewhat sizable news. Drake May will now be the starting quarterback. He's been named starting quarterback for the New England Patriots. Of course, Drake May, the first-round pick out of North Carolina. They've been rolling with Jacoby Brissett, but the Patriots rank near the bottom in passing yards per game and total yards per game on offense. Their defense is just gassed. Give me the Texans in this one, coming off a huge win against Buffalo. Patriots, Drake May, welcome to the NFL. Bucks at Saints. Now, and this would be a more intriguing matchup, but Derek Carr is going to miss a couple weeks with an oblique injury, so they're going to put in former South Carolina and Oklahoma quarterback Spencer Rattler. He will now get the reins of the team. So I like the Buccaneers in this one. The Buccaneers are a really good team. Lost a close shootout to the Falcons last week, so give me the Buccaneers. Eagles and Browns. The Browns are an absolute mess. Deshaun Watson is not good. Unfortunately, Kevin Stefanski, I love the guy, but he might be on the hot seat. He might be on the way out this year if the Browns continue to have a historically bad season. So give me the Eagles bounce back in this week. They're beat up on offense, but they should handle the Browns at home. Now this is sneakily the game of the week, in my opinion. Commanders at Ravens, a little battle in the state of Maryland. Commanders are looking really good. I wouldn't be surprised if they make the playoffs. 4-1 right now. Ravens 3-2. I do like the Ravens at home, but I would not be surprised if the Commanders pulled off a win in this one. Jaden Daniels is for real. He's a solid guy. So give me the Ravens in this one, but I may be wrong. Mark my word. I think the Commanders might surprise us here. Chargers at Broncos. The Broncos have been playing really well. It seems their defense is probably one of the best in the league, if not the best. Bo Nix is slowly getting there. He still has a lot to learn. He's still not perfect. He's still a rookie quarterback, but the Chargers are pretty banged up. I think the key to this game, can the Broncos keep the Chargers run offense in check? The Chargers run the ball a lot, which is a little different than what they're used to with Justin Herbert slinging it around, but he's got no offensive weapons in the wide receiver position. So can they stop the run? I think they will. Give me the Broncos. Steelers at Raiders. They're going to roll with Aiden McConnell after the Raiders just got absolutely boat raced by the Broncos. First win that the Broncos had over the Raiders since 2019, which is sad to say, but I'm glad the streak is over. Give me the Steelers in this one. Steelers somehow are going to be 4-2 after 6 weeks of football. Lions at Cowboys. The Cowboys had a good win against the Steelers. I do think the Lions will win this one. They're just a really good team, and the Cowboys are the Cowboys. Falcons at Panthers. Panthers will make this game closer than you think, but I think the Falcons will win this one. They're a sneaky good team as well. Great win over the Buccaneers. Younghoe Koo is literally the best player on my fantasy team. Gives me the most points. Look for him to have another big game against the Panthers. Bengals at Giants. Now, this is a sneaky good game, too, because the Giants just totally surprised everyone and took out the Seahawks at Lumen Field in Seattle. That never happens. You never beat Seattle in Seattle unless you're like the 49ers or the Chiefs, So the G-Men, come on. I'm going to go with the Bengals in this one. I do think the Bengals should have won that game against the Ravens. They kind of blew it, to be honest. I think they'll bounce back this week. They have a long way to go to really make up for the slow start they've had this season, but I believe it starts this week in the Meadowlands. Bills at Jets. Give me the Bills. There's just too much turmoil going on with the Jets organization. Jeff Ulbrich is taking over, but Robert Saleh is out. Aaron Rodgers is like 85% washed. He has like moments, like maybe 2 moments per game where you're like, oh wow, there's the Aaron Rodgers that I knew. But most of the game, he's just missing throws and getting sacked and being frustrated. So give me the Bills in that one to win the game there and put the Jets out of their misery because it's going to be another long season for them. All right, guys, that is it for my NFL picks and this week's episode of Fan Talk. If you do want to catch up, I did a whole video about the St. George Half Marathon that I ran. I got my timing card here, shirt, poster, all that fun stuff. If you want to get a full experience of that, go check that out on my channel. I will be back to posting regular episodes every week here on YouTube and Spotify and wherever you get your podcasts. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'll see you guys next week for another edition of Fan Talk, and Boomer Sooner.